Kivistö struck back at Daly by winning at Oldham Park, but it's still a wide gap in the points to the lead in the championship. The Finn needs to either keep beating his rival to the line or hope for some bad luck for a realistic shot at the title. Will he keep it up here at Summit Point? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 13 of the Sunday Drivers' Cup. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello, I am Ossian Puhakka, and with me in the booth is Andrew Cardinali. Behind the scenes is our director Joe Peak, and he is using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Summit Point is certainly a smaller, lesser-known track in the world of racing. But here on iRacing, for many drivers, it was their first place to race. Let's head to our track guide to learn more.
Welcome to Pocono Raceway. Located just 2 hours north of Philadelphia, the Tricky Triangle has been exciting race fans for over 50 years. While the oval circuit is by far more famous, there's some interesting road courses available in 4 different layouts. They range from 1 to 2.5 miles in length, with 7 to 13 corners to tackle. While they all contain at least a portion of the oval itself to help build up speed, they also all have tight, narrow technical infield sequences. Second gear hairpins and difficult braking zones are generously scattered about to help keep drivers on their toes. The international layout is the longest and quickest, using 2 full corners from the oval itself. But the entry to turn 1 there is wickedly hard to both spot and nail correctly in any car. The south layout is the shortest but not the slowest of them, and only has 2 or 3 genuinely slow corners. The north circuit is probably the simplest and gives very few good places to execute a pass. Finally, the east layout is both the only one that lacks any of the oval corners and is made up of the most turns overall. Deceptively fun, it unfortunately forces you to make use of very little width if you want to go racing side by side. All in all, while it may be better suited to club-style racing, there's a nice variety of options to choose from. No doubt fans will have plenty to enjoy at the Tricky Triangle's tricky road courses.
That's not Summit Point, that's Pocono. That's where we are here for round number 13. Chinks. But you can see the layout there. 10 turns, 2.5 miles, 4 kilometers. Andrew, what is it like aside from second gear hairpins?
Well, it's really fast. I think that's going to be the biggest hurdle these guys have to get over is the hard braking zones and the weird chicane into NASCAR turn 1 and going through there backwards. I think patience is going to be a big key today, just trying to make sure you actually pace yourself around this course. You can't get too overzealous. And you mentioned second gear hairpins. Yeah, that whole road course section where you cut from the front stretch all the way over to nearly NASCAR turn 2. That is just one real tricky section of racetrack. It's going to be tough to actually pace yourself as a race car driver and not overdrive things.
Thank you. That is very true. That is so very true. You don't want to throw it away by going too fast early on. You need to pace yourself. You need to time yourself. And next up, we have time for the race information on your screen, so you'll know what will be happening here next. It is round number 13 of 20. Mind you, this series, Sunday Drivers' Cup, does not follow the usual iRacing 12-week schedule. Instead, it runs throughout the year. So it's round 13, and they've been racing since January. 15-lap race here, so it's not a super long race, but then again, these are not super fast cars, so there will be plenty of time to decide the positions here in this one. Fixed setup, nothing you can do to the car aside from drive as fast as possible. 1 bonus point for pole, 1 bonus point for fastest lap, 1 bonus point for the hardest charger. And that will be the driver who makes up most positions from their start to the end of the race. And I do love that idea. I love that idea so much. Next up, championship points. It is round number 13 of the championship. Let's see how they fare. Driver standings. Tom Daly in the lead, as we mentioned in the intro to this broadcast. 334 points. Kalle Kivistö in the second place, 66 points behind. Then it's Stefan Alderling, Javi Lopez, Xavi Lopez, and Jordan Tsevtanov. Michael Elliott in 6th place. Then it's Sander Vare, Stephen Orell, Victor Oliveira, and William Van Russell. And as for the team points, Andrew, you have them on your screen.
Wallopy Motorsports comes into today with an 8-point lead, excuse me, over Positive Delta Motorsport. You can see iRacing Netherlands there in the third spot, 52 points back, and it all just kind of, I guess, drops off from there. A lot of teams quite a ways out of this lead. So you're really watching your top two right now, but let's be real here. There's still plenty of time in this championship for any of these teams to turn things around. You could even see, I think, kind of Sus Racing and Spirit 14 move up a lot closer to that lead, if not into that lead before this season is over. Plenty of time, even if you're TGR or 2G Parts and Equipment Racing down there a little further down, or even Darius Scary Racing. Love that team name, by the way. I think there's still time for any of them to get back into this.
It's a lovely team name. It's a lovely team name. I know certain someone who will absolutely love that. Ireland in the lead of the Nations Cup. And yes, they have a Nations Cup. Ireland, then it's Finland, and then it's the Netherlands rounding out the top three in that one. So 2 tricolors and 1 Nordic Cross. Then it is the Union Jack, United Kingdom in 4th place ahead of Spain and South Africa. Bulgaria in 7th place. Another nation usually represented in the sim racing circles. Glad to see them making their countrymen proud here. United States in the 8th place, Portugal in 9th, and Brazil rounding out the top 10 in that one. Right, so we are just about getting ready to see what the qualifying standings are. Orderling, Kivistö, and Man rounding out the top 3 in that one. It is quite tight at the top. Top 5 almost within half a second. Is that what you expected, Andrew?
You know, that is, I think, what you have to expect with Mazdas at any racetrack. You always bring these Miatas literally anywhere. They're always going to have, I think, a tight circle at the top, and then it might spread out a little more throughout the rest of the field. But we're seeing, I think, pretty quintessential Mazda qualifying right now. We've got a big draft line headed down the front stretch out of the final corner, down to the start-finish line, and it's going to be weird to call that high-banked NASCAR Turn 1 the final corner here today, but they are headed down to the flag stand to complete this lap.
Yep, and this time what it says on the actual final corner of Pocono Raceway, when you run it the proper direction, anti-clockwise, it says what turn 4. Well, on the road course we do have a turn 4, and here we see some extra turns as well going out of the circuit. You can see it actually on the, you can't see it on the background yet, but you can see it on some other shots. Adling screwing up the corners a little bit there, but he still has plenty of time in his open qualifying session. As it is an open qualifying, it is a Mazda MX-5 Miata, as you said. You know, when I was a kid, I thought it was pronounced Mayada, actually. So that's a funny anecdote. But draft, that's one of the things that's gonna have a big effect here, especially with that long straight line. So you have some teams here. You have a teams championship. Do you see that potentially coming into play as we go forward with this qualifying?
Absolutely. It's going to be important to stay in that lead draft, no matter who you are or what you're racing for. If you're not up towards the front, it's going to be really tough to make moves here. And we've already seen in this qualifying session, take Stefan Alderling, for example, messing up in the first sector. If you are not on that very thin line around here at the Pocono Roval, if you will, or road course, whatever you want to call it, you will very much, I think, be out of the draft that you need. You've got to make sure you stay as far forward as you can. It's going to be tough to make up time in the road course, so you've got to make sure you can actually use the full, I guess, potential of that draft once you get back onto the oval.
Yeah, and you can see the sheer width of that main straight right here. Just that's an airplane track, and it takes a while to realize just how wide these NASCAR circuits really are. And it takes a car this small to realize how wide they are, because normally in stock car racing they can make it seem pretty narrow. So it can be pretty daunting from a driver's perspective to go from that wide section to the narrow section, where you go from not almost being able to see the end of the track to essentially having 2 car widths all the way around the infield section of this track, as we are watching the number 85 of Eric Couradon coming towards the start-finish line, and he looks to be improving on his previous effort, and he better be, because he's right now 16th, which is plumb last. And our director also tells me that they have landed an airplane on this front stretch, and you know, Andrew, I'm not surprised at all.
No, neither am I. And granted, this is about the widest straightaway you have in NASCAR racing, but it is still, I think, a great point you make. Of you usually see pretty wide NASCAR racetracks, stock car tracks, whatever you want to call them, ovals, what have you. So this fits right in that bill as we take a look at current pole sitter Victor Oliveira out of Brazil. Right into that chicane before he gets to NASCAR turn one. He was a little bit deep on entry. That pushes him a little bit wide on exit as well. Might have clipped the grass there. It looks like he's going to pull over and give this lap up. Maybe not, actually. He might just be trying to get that inside line for that banked curve. We'll see how his time compares and if that lap even counts, because it looked like he got a little bit of grass, but it might have been just enough. Well, no, I think he might be coming to the pit lane.
Yeah, his car has the aces high, but he was taking the low line of the last corner and coming into the pit lane as we are riding with Brett Wright of 1P Motorsports. He is coming across the line, the UK driver, British driver. Let's see what kind of lap time he will give us. A 1:45.777, and that would be a jackpot in a Vegas casino. And that's gonna send him right into 9th place. 1P Motorsports, that's the kind of name I would expect from Australian motorsports. It has that outback flair into it.
It really does, and we've got some really interesting. I love the team names in this series. Again, Darius Scary, that's just a fantastic one. We got a cheese car on track. It seems every week with the Sunday Drivers Cup, and you know what? Learning all these new driver names, at least for me, is kind of exciting, and teams and this whole dynamic is going to be exciting throughout the course of this 15-lap race. Here's Willem van Rassel out of the Netherlands, currently 10th. And we'll see what he can do in his car, number 30. And they seem to have, I think, the most, recognizable livery. Orange sides, a white racing stripe. That's classic.
It is classic. You've seen it all over the world of football or soccer if you're American. Basically, any Dutch national team, anyone representing the Netherlands, they just have to have that orange implemented. It is deeply rooted in the history of the region, and it is deeply rooted in their sporting pedigree as well. So it's lovely to see the orange represented here on track. They are now being a little bit they have McLaren competing for that orange color these days in racing, but I still think, when I see orange, I think, they must be Dutch.
Hey, and you know what? I think that's evidenced by the flares that we saw on track today in the Formula One race, so this weekend. And I mean, we always see it when Max is around. But Sander Ware currently on track. Spirit 14 Racing headed down that long pond straightaway into that chicane before we get down to turn number one. Or not turn number one, NASCAR turn one. That's going to confuse me all day. But this is an interesting chicane as well. This feels a bit like an attempt at the original chicane at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Roval for NASCAR. It's in a really precarious spot, and it's, I think, a little bit too tight, honestly, for what these guys need. But that's only going to make things more interesting for us, Ozzy, because we're going to see some bonsai moves, I'm sure, at some point or another into that corner, whether it's at the start or trying to make up spots there at the end.
Absolutely, Andrew. And if you want to talk about chicanes, how to do a chicane well, I think your case study in that case is the one on Daytona road course.
Yes.
Straight away. And also, on that note, Watkins Glen in a loop, which is basically the same thing.
Yeah, they're very much almost copy-pasted, just a little bit of wonkiness, I think, in the Daytona chicane, but exactly what you want. This kind of more triangular chicane, it's interesting, and it's almost like an open-ended entry, which is really going to lead to some guys, I think, overrunning the exit and going into the grass, which is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very interesting. We'll see how it works out for these guys as we stick here with the Spirit Racing. Well, now we go over to Mackenzie Mann out of the U.S. SimTech Racing out of that final chicane and back onto that banked corner. 50 seconds left. He'll get this lap in, but won't be able to count another one.
Yeah, Mackenzie Mann and number 11 on the side of his car on the 5th place. Let's see how well they do here. As they come across, well, they're coming to the pit lane, so we won't be seeing how well they do, I suppose. Brett Wright instead in 9th place. We saw them improving earlier on in this qualifying. Let's see if they can do it again. They got a bit of draft on the main straight. These cars can draft from out of memory about 1.5, 2 seconds away. It's a really long distance. They punch a hole in the air, decreasing the air resistance, and as a result of that, you can go faster, and that's exactly what Brett Wright does, improving to a 1:45.3 and going to the 7th place for the number 70 car. Right, let's see how this man can respond. Kalle Kivistö representing Finland. Can he take the pole position here? It's going to be tough with no draft, but so far he's been quite excellent this season.
Yeah, former champion headed out of the banked corner this time. I don't see any cars directly ahead of him, so I'm not sure that he's going to go too much faster, but yeah, I don't see that he's going to get a big draft. If he did anything better in the road course, though, he could still move up that order. He's got a few tenths to play with the pole, so we may see him go higher. Car number 1 across the line. Let's see where he goes. It's just a bit faster, looks like 100th of a second maybe, but might have dropped a wheel somewhere, it doesn't count.
Yeah, so time for one more lap, I think. After that one, as Claudio Di Giacomo is coming across the line, the South African driver. With a name like that, I thought he was Italian, but, well, I guess I was fooled. 147, his best time doesn't improve. Let's see Brett Ride, currently in 8th place, as he has been passed at some point. So, was 7th briefly, now is 8th, but still has time to improve here. Let's see about the draft situation. Absolutely nothing. It's a clear track in front of him, so that's not gonna really help his cause. Also, Brett, just a style note. Red wheels on a car with that livery? I'm not sure. Andrew, your take?
It stands out at the very least. I would think blue or green, but and I'm sure you're probably along that lines, or even black. But hey, it stands out at the very least. It's visible, and sometimes, hey, teammates will use different wheel colors to differentiate themselves. So that could be what that is here as Britt Ride goes across the line. He did drop a couple of spots at the back end of qualifying, just over 1 second off of pole time. Patrick Alders, though, might have a chance to jump him, trying to beat a 1:45.823 if he wants to go any faster than his previous lap time, and it will not be any faster. Just about 2 tenths off his previous best time. Here's Kalle Kivista. We'll see if he can go any faster.
Yeah, let's see what the Rock can do. Kalle Kivistö, Kivi, of course, being Finnish for Rock. Now you know, so you can call him the Rock on future broadcasts, unless that is copyright infringement. And looks like he is coming to the pit lane, so that will be all she wrote for Kalle's qualifying, and he's going to be starting in position number 3. As you can see, all those beautiful second gear hairpins there on the left side of your picture. Aerial view of the Pocono International Raceway. Briefly, Andrew, one of the more recognizable circuits, at least for Americans, in this calendar. Known for its oval side, but it is a good road racing circuit as well.
Yeah, and it's a shame that we don't have the updated version of the road course just yet on iRacing, but this almost legacy version will have to work, and it's still very good, and it gives you kind of that older track feeling, the bumps through the oval portion, or the triangle portion, if you will. It's very nostalgic.
It is the vast greenery reminding us of better days back in 2007, 2008, as Victor Oliveira will be starting from the pole position. Joining him on the front row will be Stefan Alderling, Kalle Kivistö, and Tom Daly in row number 2, Dennis Mackenzie-Man and Jordin Tsevtanov. Sander Vaare in 7th place, Brett Ride in 8th, Kalle Rantanen 9th, and William Van Russell will be rounding out your top 10.
Starting 11th, Patrick Alders in car 27 alongside Eric Caradon. I know I'm messing that one up. Caradon? I'm going to go with that. Peter Reed there in the 13th spot. Alvaro Rodriguez starting from 14th today. And then your back row of drivers who turned a qualifying time, Jason Guerrera and Claudio Di Giacomo. And Stephen Orell and David Mitchell will bring up the back end of the field. 18 cars here today for a 15-lap race.
Indeed, and it's going to be an interesting one. Let's see if they can get themselves settled early on in the more technical section of this track, or will we see a draft fest? I'm somehow expecting the latter here in this one, because draft fest, you know, MX5 draft fest, really every track seems to be an ongoing battle, whether it's the Mazda Cup in real life or Mazda Cup here on sim racing, on iRacing. This is pretty much real life too, only the cars are virtual, but rest assured, the racing is real, as you will see as these 15 laps will unfold in the upcoming 15 laps of the Sunday Drivers' Cup, round number 13 of the championship. Just to remind you, we do have team points here, we do have driver points here. There is a lot on stake as we are getting ready to start this event. It is, of course, Tom Daly in the lead of the championship, Kalle Kivistö in 2nd place, and Stefan Alderling rounding out the top 3 on that one. Red lights are on. We are ready to get underway. Standing start here at Pocono, and here we go. Good start from all the drivers. I don't see anybody stumping. I don't see anybody jumping the gun. I see good racing, and let's see how they fare in turn number 1. Side by side they go through there, and we do have a clean turn. Nobody going out of track, nobody exploring the vast greenery. It is clean through turns 1 and turns 2. Little bit of position shuffling, but otherwise seems good so far.
That ever important patience that I talked about is definitely in essence here on lap number 1. These guys getting into a nice single file line. They've got to be for these second gear hairpins. We'll see what they can do though once they pop back onto the oval, get to use that draft and head down to those chicanes that we've been talking about. And they still have to go through oval turn 2 that you can see in there in the distance. So you've got a couple of banked corners for these guys to work with.
One of the scariest corners in NASCAR schedule, that one. Turn number 2 at Pocono. As you head to the chute of that one, we're taking the opposite direction, turning right on a NASCAR track, which almost seems sacrilegious when you come to think of it. These guys probably don't mind turn cars that don't mind right turns at all. They are heading towards the chicane. Will we see a move onto the inside? Not quite braking late enough, and as a result of that, the lead stays so far. Let's see for how long can the Brazilian driver hold on to it. Because, oh, and we have a crash in the background. We do have a crash in the background. Multiple cars involved on that one. They're wrecking still. Looks to be the number 36 involved in that one. A couple of other drivers as well. I don't see too much damage as we have one car potentially not coming to the pit lane, just taking the very inside line on the main straight. Look at that. Look how far they have to move laterally. And they touch on the main straight as well. Looking to the outside. Will he look to the inside once again? Yes, he will. And there's the inside defensive line from our Brazilian driver. And will it work out? No! Just gets beaten into turn number 1. Cannot quite turn it in from there. Of course, he made the corner steeper for himself. That turn number 1. But he's coming back because there's a mistake. And they're side by side for the lead of this race. Still side by side, heading into turn number 3. These second gear hairpins will almost seem crazy as Tom Daly takes the lead, our championship leader right now. Continue this race, and there's contact between Oliveira and Daly. That's a little bit naughty. Lap number 2, well, they were hearing your advice, Andrew, right on the start, but once they saw smoke in the background, I guess they saw red in front of their eyes, and now we're racing.
Suddenly there was opportunity in front of them. We'll get the GSRC replay on screen as this happened in the background. Good eye to see it. One car took the inside a little too sharply, and I guess that, yeah, there we go. You can see the result of it. Just kind of check these guys up. They were nose to tail, and it all just kind of piles in from there, like we usually see in Mazda races sometimes. Well, once you have one car turned out front, it's an accordion effect. As here we go, side by side for the race lead through the final chicane here at Pocono. And there goes Oliveira through the grass. Tom Daly took the lead into turn 1 by having a momentum over him. There was contact later in the lap, and now Oliveira will have to settle way back further and get it all going again as Daly continues to lead. Alderling now to second place, and The Rock, they're in third.
Yes, The Rock, there it is, and Kalle Kivisto trying to hold on to trying to take the second place away from Alderling. Let's see if he can do it. He wants to get to the back of Tom Daly. He wants to pass Tom Daly, ideally, because he is fighting for the championship. The defending champion to the outside goes Mackenzie Mann. Mackenzie Mann trying to challenge into turn number 1. Will he look for the crossover? Yes, he will, but there is Tsvetanov as well, and it's very wide. That's very wide for Alderling. He is going to lose a lot of positions there. Going down into 5th place from the top 3, from the podium playing positions. And if he stays this far back, he has the risk of losing the draft. Thankfully for Alderling, I think he has a very fast driver, Victor Oliveira, right behind him, Andrew. They can work together as a tandem to potentially catch up into this top 4.
We'll get another GSRC replay on screen. This was turn 1 this last time through. Riding on board here with Alderling into the first corner. Quickly going to go from battling for second to sitting back there battling really for 5th. And there might have even been a little bit of contact there. It's hard to say. Yeah, there was contact for sure, as you heard on the GSRC replay. Back to live picture, though, as they head down to that chicane. You can see where Alderling is kind of sorted out behind Zetsanov, who was pretty quick that last lap in the 8 car, as our leaders will head down to that final chicane.
Yeah, and you can see Daly actually defending his position going into that chicane. I'm not sure that's the best move. I don't think Kalle was really close enough to challenge him there, but Kalle will get the better exit here. The Rock is in the hunt, and Tom Daly is probably feeling a bit like Stone Cold Steve Austin in about 1998 here. with him in his mirrors. Let's see, looking to the outside. He's gonna have to stick to the outside with this line as well. Going to take the long way around. We see a perfect view from the passenger seat of Mackenzie Mann, who is following this battle for the lead, but it is Kalle Kivisto taking the lead away from Tom Daly, and 10 man using the great equalizer, the draft on the main straight, and Tom Daly is gonna get him back into turn number 1 potentially. He utilizes the draft a little bit, but Kalle breaks much later and is able to hold on so far, taking the fastest lap of the race as well. On 10 it's Svetanov, and 10 it's Alderling, half a second away. And one thing I am noting at this point, Andrew, it is Victor Oliveira who really has trouble living with this pace, staying with these guys. I wonder if he has damage.
I wouldn't be entirely surprised, but I also don't know that he's got too much. It also could just be the fact that these guys are drafted. We talked about it in pre-race. Those guys out front able to hold a draft with each other. If they can hold their own pace, they can be a little bit quicker on the oval, and Oliveira will be left behind, as will any single car. But Oliveira actually got a lot closer that time. The entrance onto the oval, he just pulled right back potentially in that distance, that delta to Alderling that he needs to be within, which is about 1 second. So we'll see if this lap is any different. As here we go. This is going to be a nice battle for the race lead. Tom Daly around the outside. Can he get around Kivisto in the chicane? It's going to be tough. Kivisto defending down the right side, but Daly with a run.
Daly with a run to the inside and trying to take it away, but not quite managing. Kalle Kivisto holding on to it so far, but once again, as we saw in the last lap, the positions are reversed. This time it's Tom Daly who is going to get the better exit out of that chicane. So important, that exit, because it leads to the longest flat-out section of the track. And you can see Alderling, I think it was, taking this super high line of the banking. I wonder what that's about. I wonder if he's trying to give draft to Oliveira or take the draft away from Oliveira, as we see one car coming into the pit lane,
and
potentially.
That is Oliveira.
And also a lead change. Tom Daly, Kalle Kivisto, side by side. Here we still see Alderling. So potentially he was trying to serve a penalty. That is a good point, cutting the chicane a little bit too much. That happens easily, but Tom Daly taking back the lead. They are swapping positions, and as a result of that, keeping Mann and Svetanov well in the pack. And yeah, I think he was serving a penalty, because look at that time difference. Alderling losing 2 seconds, and meanwhile Oliveira is in the pit lane.
Yeah, just doing my own research back on that chicane, I do think he clipped a little too far to the right side on exit. I think that's where the iRacing I guess stewards, if you will, nabbed him for a little bit of time gain. He had to go up to the top of the oval and give that time back. So now it's a 4-car battle out front, and you saw Oliveira in the background pitting that time. That could have been for that damage you were talking about there, Ozzy.
Yeah, too far to the right and doing your own research. That sounds also very familiar. Anyway, back to the racing. Tom Daly and Kalle Kivisto here as the leading duo. 1.5 tenths between them. Kalle looking to the outside once again. It seems to be a cliche almost, defending down the inside, but it works so very well here in this chicane, because it's such a tight place. You can see the track bottlenecking as they come across the cones. Let's see what Kalle can do. He can get the insider next time around and just squeezes past Tom Daly here, but Daly is gonna have the inside down into the banking, and Kalle round the outside is trying to hold on that lead. Meanwhile, look at the run Mackenzie Mann will be having as a result of that, because they've been side by side, swapping positions through the chicane, through the whole last sector of this lap, and here comes Mann to the inside. They are 3 wide for the lead of this race. Can Svetanov make it 4 wide? Not quite, but he is coming. He is coming. Oh Lord, he's coming. And into the turn 1, they approach. Svetanov is thinking about it. He's thinking about it. Will he go alongside? No, he stays back. He is being a clever boy here as Kivisto holds on to the lead. Mann to the inside, can't quite turn it in, but Kivisto goes wide. Kivisto makes a mistake. He's going to the golf course, and he's losing the lead train potentially all the way down to 5th place, and that might finish his chances for the win of this race.
I like that one. But Kivisto could use this road course. He's been great in this road course so far in this race to gain some time back, and especially with Alderling having to check up a little bit for Setsanov and so on and so forth. They can't keep going too much faster because they'd be inside of each other in this road course. I don't think the race is over for Kalle here. They can very much get back within that draft train and salvage this race. 10 laps to go as they head back up onto the oval, or the triangle, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I think Kalle Kivisto is just within range. Well, maybe. It's a little over a second right now, but if he nails a couple of corners this lap, he might still be able to get that draft.
I think a lot of depends on how these guys will do. Will Mackenzie Mann stay quiet on the second place, or will they attack That's a good question. That's gonna be answered potentially right here, right now. They look alongside, and as a result of that, maybe Tom Daly has to take a bit of a defensive line, and that is improving Collectivista's chances. Another point is the pace of this man, Stefan Alderling. Can he hold on to the back of this queue? If yes, he has a chance to potentially drop Kalle, but so far it looks good for the Finnish driver. He's only half a second away from the leading quartet as they are side by side for the lead once again. Mann and Daly, and Mackenzie Mann this time looks to be taking the lead for good unless Daly can mount a real late break effort into turn number 1. Man looking to the inside, looking to defend their position. Meanwhile, look at Svetanov passing Daly and potentially passing Mackenzie Mann as well. Not quite able to do it in that beautiful purple car, but oh so very close, and Tom Daly wasn't happy about that one. Almost contact there into 3 as they are still battling over the second place, and all that shuffling, all that battling has resulted in Collectivista earning himself a free ride back into the leading battle, and we'll see the Finns charging in the later portion of this race, I'm sure about that. But so far, we've seen about half of this race. Andrew, who's your pick?
You know what? Let's go with Ride back there in 6th place. Just let's go for a complete wild card. I don't think it's going to happen, but these guys can absolutely wad things up at some point. We still have half the race to go. We've seen all of this crazy action so far. I think anything is still within the cards, Ozzy, as these guys will head back down to that chicane. That was a beautiful drone shot, by the way, through the road course portion. That was really quality stuff. As here we go, Alderling looking to the inside potentially for that chicane as Brett Ryan just looks from the background, just able to sit back there in the 6th spot right now and watch all this go down. And boy, that was a lot going down right through that chicane. Daly trying to set up Setsanov as Setsanov tries to set up Mann.
Yeah, and Mann going a little bit wide. Mackenzie Mann going very wide on the exit of the chicane. Almost looked like a mistake, and kind of sus racing is there alongside almost Svetanov. Will he look to the inside? He's gonna have to, because Mann defends the middle lane, and here comes Daly to the outside. They're 3 wide for the lead of this race. What will Arderding do? That's a good question. As you can see, Mackenzie Mann having to do his best Ricardo Zonta impression. Here we saw Alderding looking to make it 4 wide, is making it 4 wide. On the outside, Kivista is rounding the Dutch driver, but going once again a little bit wide on turn number 1, and that's going to cost him a little bit, because even if we have draft on this track, you're going to have to make those positions up at some point. He can't be sitting in 5th place until the end of this event. He's going to need to beat Tom Daly if he wants to get closer to the championship lead, to defend that title that he has around his waist. And Kivista gets forced to the outside by Alderding. Fernando Alonso once said, all the time you have to leave the space, and this time I don't think Kivista had the space.
No, I don't think there was space there at all, but hey, that's part of it sometimes, and that is defensive racing, as we now have a 6-car train. You know how I mentioned last lap, Ride was a little far back, didn't think he'd get up in this battle. Well, he has now caught the back end of the draft within 0.8 that time back onto the oval. I think he's going to be a part of this lead battle very, very soon. So 6 cars now within range, potentially even a 7th by the end of this race if things keep going this way. I'm kind of surprised how easy it is for these guys to battle and how willing they are to battle through the road course portion here, Ozzy. I would think if you're 3rd, 4th, 5th back there like Alderling and Kivista were that lap, maybe just sit in road, right? Just sit, be patient, and wait for your opportunity. Let Daly and Setsanov, even Mann, get up there and battle. Just be patient right now.
Yeah, it's easy to say here from the commentary booth, but once you are out there as a driver and you're battling for the position, once the battle starts, you kind of want to throw yourself into the mix. 1 lap feels like an eternity to just sit back and relax. And once again, we are battling a little bit on the main straight. The typical passing position, Daly versus Svetanov. Daly, mind you, on that white, blue, and green car. Svetanov on that purple Ride. Kind of sus racing car. Then it's Alderling in orange, then it's Mann in that black car, and Kalle Kivista in white and black. You can see Kalle with number 1 on his car, as well as Ride, who has now indeed caught up to the back of that queue. Now, there is something I want to point out here. Daly and Ride, they are teammates. Could that potentially play into the final result of this race, Andrew? Do you think Ride could maybe try and get himself a little bit forward, maybe help his teammate who is right now in the lead?
I think definitely if they're able to get coordinated, they would like to, but at the same time, with as tight as things are sometimes in driver championships and how things work out, I don't know if they're going to necessarily sacrifice the run of one to save the other here. It's a matter of whether or not Ride can get up there and go toe to toe with Kavisto and Man and get up into about that third spot. Maybe then Daly on the front stretch is able to go over and maybe kind of shift over and give a little bit of draft on the front stretch to his teammate. As that was an interesting setup for the chicane there. 7 to go, coming to 6 to go this time, and you can see the 8 car of Setanov is getting very, very impatient. I think has been really this entire race, but continuing that impatience behind the leader of Daly. At some point, that move is going to come. I don't know if it's going to be in the chicane or turn 1 or where it's going to happen. It might happen right here.
Yeah, Tsvetanov looking to the inside, looking to the outside. Finally settles for the outside. Has to go there because Daly was looking to defend that inside with his life. I think he was prepared to die on that hill. And here comes Arderling, catching them with her pants down and looking to make it to the inside into turn number 1, 3 wide. And Daly has to give way. Wow. Arderling now up into second place. Tsvetanov now in the lead. The Bulgarian drivers, they're going to be very, very happy eating their yogurt in Sofia as he is in the lead. But Arderling looks to challenge him, the Dutch driver, but instead he loses the second place potentially because Daly is challenging. Round the outside, will they give each other enough space on the exit of the corner? The answer is just barely, and Daly is able to eke alongside. He's just harassing Arderling there on the rear guard panel of that car and is able to work his way down to the inside. The space had to be left, just like Voyager is leaving the space of our sun. There is Alderding and Daly just barely leaving enough space for each other. Tsvetanov is able to extend his lead just a little bit as a result of that. Now up to 6/10, but here comes the draft and here comes the straight. Just one more chicane to navigate for these drivers, and then it's back onto that main straight as we are on board with Mackenzie Mann from 4th place, looking down at this battle happening right ahead of him and running very wide. And will he crash into the car? Oh, just a little bit of contact with Alderding, but that could have been so much worse. And oh no, Kivista loses out majorly in that one. He had to slam the brakes, just like avoiding a big moose on the roads of Finland. And he drops down to 5th place, drops 3 seconds to the leading duo. And Tom Daly is right now looking to his mirrors. That's a gift from heaven, Andrew.
Oh, this is huge in this top 6 battle that we're talking about. Watch Mackenzie Mann just around the outside, completely blows the chicane, and wow, how that wasn't a bigger incident, how that wasn't a bigger contact, I will never know. And big time check up there from Kavisto. That was beautiful wreck avoidance from Alderling and Kavitso there as they continue to battle now at a turn 1. There is a look at it as the Dutch driver sits right in the middle of the American and the Finn, and they will finally be able to try and make that time back up. They're 2 seconds behind Ride, who is nearly 2 seconds behind Daly. This could be a 2-car race now with 5 laps to go, and if anything, this is where Daly could help out Ride.
Absolutely, and get his teammate into that leading battle as well. But I think Daly and Tsvetanov, they'd be very clever to just swap the lead, not battle at all, and get away from the chasing pack. That's the most important thing. You don't want Man, you don't want Alderding, you don't want Kivista, you don't want Orel, and I don't think you want Ride into that pack in either, because the most important thing in these draft races is to eliminate, essentially improve your worst possible result, which is to say, if you are in 3-car battle, the worst outcome, even if you lose that battle, as Daly looks alongside, is to end up on the podium still. But if you're in a 7-car battle, well, you can end up all the way down in 7th place if it continues to the last lap. But Daly taking the lead from Tsvetanov. However, very sideways at the exit of that corner. They dropped a lot of time. Ride is now within a second of them, 7/10 away. Alderding and Man battling a little bit right behind them, as is Kivista, and they are 3 seconds back from the leading trio, and that's not helpful for any of their causes to catch up to this lead at all. I think they are all in the game for themselves. Daly, Tsvetanov, Ride, meanwhile battling out there in the front of your pack. Tsvetanov, oh, and here comes Ride to the inside, making it 3 wide. Potentially against his teammate. No, he's backing out of it. Just taking the very inside line. Potentially trying to drop draft. Maybe a little bit suspect that Kivista might be getting a bit of help down there. But wow. It's gonna be mighty interesting between these 3 drivers. And right now, Tsvetanov is almost in a handicap match here between 2 teammates.
And with 3.5 laps to go, this is only going to get more and more interesting. If Ride is able, I mean, he's within a second now. He should definitely be able to start using this draft to his advantage. By the time we throw checkers, yeah, this is going to be a 3-car race. Even I think this lap, as Ride is really pushing and gaining a lot of time through those hairpins. And since he was not battling here, I think the big thing to consider, Ozzy, is he might have better tires at this point. He might not have abused them quite as badly. They might not be as overheated for his Mazda Miata. He might actually have the upper hand of these 3 drivers battling for this race league. It's not very hot up there, 78 degrees Fahrenheit, 26 in the air, 26 degrees Celsius in the air. We do have a battle though going on, and this is going to be interesting. I really think Ride may have the upper hand.
Yeah, and Svetanov there taking back the lead, but Daly, of course, is going to have to run onto the main straight.
Teammates
but
now.
before the checkers, we might have to play some chess, and right now Daly and Ride, they do have more buttons on the board, they do have more players on the board. Will they use their knights, or will they still stick with the pawns? And are they gonna make Svetanov their pawn on this one? As he looks to the inside, Tom Daly looking to take back the lead, the championship leader. You can see on the background, Kivista Alderding lurking. They have been getting a little bit closer, less than 3 seconds away, but I'm not sure they are close enough to get into this battle unless they are making it 3 into 1, which it is. Oh, look at Ride, he's once again looking to the inside, potentially forcing Daly to take a little bit of a wider line, as we see once again Kivista and turn number 1. That is a rivalry for the ages. Once again he goes wide there, and once again he is losing ground. Maybe the Finn trying a little bit too hard to make up ground. You can't fault him for that, but he is gonna be very, very sorry for that once he sees the points after the race.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these driver standings and team standings and nationality standings work out. We've still got 6... Well, I guess at one point it was 6 different nationalities in the top 6. Now Kavisto's down there. We have 2 Brits up into the top 7, but it's still a lot of different nationalities mixing it up out front. You've got an Irishman leading. You've got a Bulgarian second, a Brit third. It's crazy how this is working out as we see this battle for 5th and 6th. Mackenzie Mann on the inside, Stephen Orell on the outside. Orell, the other Brit, up there in the top 6. And we'll see what he can do before the end of this race. But up front, you can see now Ride second place. He gets on by Setanov, and we'll have that position down to the final chicane. It'll be 2 laps to go this time. Popsicle sticks when we get back to the the flag stand. And boy, this battle for second actually might pull themselves out of range of Daly. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and that is exactly what Ride needs to do if he wants to be a good wingman. That is how you do it. You harass, you harry, you challenge, you just all the time you go alongside the driver who is chasing your teammate. You try to force them to slow down, take the battle line into the corners, try to drag them into a battle. All the while Daly can try and run away from this draft because they can make up half a second on this straight. That is an eternity in racing. So Ride has to essentially be very aggressive, try and get under the skin of Svetanov, try and get that position away, try and slow his progress as he looks to the inside. Look at that dive, but very well read by Svetanov, just taking the exit, and now Alderding is into the mix as well, looking down the outside of Ride. I think Ride might have overplayed his hand a little bit there. Now he is bogged down in the battle and out of the podium positions all the way down to 4th place. How well did Svetanov react to that one? Whoa.
And I definitely think that this entire top 4 is going to be completely different by the time we get down to the start-finish line. That gap that Daly has right now will be erased, as we've seen this entire race so far. Setanov is going to have another chance, at least one more chance, if not 2 or 3, to get by Daly. Alderling's not out of this. Ride certainly isn't as well, but he's got the most work to do as we head down to that chicane. And you can see just how defensive Daly is being, trying to use that inside, break the draft a little bit, coming back over to the left to get the arc into the corner, and down through this final chicane for the penultimate time. The entire field up here getting a little bit more constricted, a little closer together. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, and now Svetanov is hoping and praying that Alderding and Ride don't catch up to them, because then he can play this the way he wants. He wants to be behind, heading onto the final straight right here, and he wants to make the pass at the start-finish straight. So I don't think he's too aggressive necessarily going for a move here, because you don't want to lead going onto that final straight. You want to be in 2nd place, close enough, but he does look to the outside, potentially worried about the Dutch threat behind him. and he is right to do that. Looking to the outside in turn number 1, and they touch, and it's around Svetanov, and Daly loses the lead, and it's the Dutchman running away with it. Alderding now, and look at the kind of sus racing car. Svetanov was fighting for the win. Now he's all the way down in 7th place. That's a tragedy for him. And despite all the space out there on the racetrack, they found the one spot where they can't be coming together. Oh.
You know it's big when even the director goes, whoa, man, that was crazy into turn 1. We'll see now if Alderling is able to hang on, but I've got a sneaking suspicion here with Daly and Ride in the 2nd and 3rd spots, of course. 2 teammates, they're going to link up and use this oval to their advantage. Obviously, that's how this is going to work out. It's a matter of whether or not Alderling is able to defend and break these two up at some point. How much time really he has out of the chicane, I think, will determine if he wins this race or not. Daly and Ride, they're going to have a beautiful chicane and link up. It's going to be tough, actually. As time goes on, they're not closing in as much as I thought they would.
No, because Daly is not getting the optimum draft. He was catching maybe 1/10 over the course of that straight heading into the final chicane, but Daly was kind of a little bit lackadaisical through the chicane, a little bit slow. 1/10 lost, and look, he lost Ride as well.
Ride messed up,
Yeah, Ride, I think, took a slowdown penalty, and as a result of that, it is Stefan Alderding, home clear. Now all he has to do, the ball's out of the ballpark, all he has to do is run to the home plate, and he is home free at Pocono. Stefan Alderding, iRacing Netherlands, he is going to bring the Dutch flags high, as was Max Verstappen earlier today, and win here at Pocono. Round number 13, it's lucky 13 for Stefan Alderding. Tom Daly extending his championship lead in the 2nd place. Then it's Ride, Orel, Kivista, man, and we see still battles further back on your track. Van Russell and others coming to the final chicane, and they are battling too. And why wouldn't they be? Because the race is still on, but not quite able to bring it to the flag. And here is your winner, ladies and gentlemen, Stefan Alderding. And I don't think, well, I didn't make an official prediction, but yours was Ride. I don't think either of us would have had Alderding as the first one.
No, especially when he messed up that first time into turn number 1. I think it was lap 2 or 3. I think as soon as he went off, it just kind of, I don't know, put a sour taste in my mind, but he was always there in the battle. He always had a chance, just like anybody else. So it shouldn't be that surprising at all that Car 51 is in victory lane today. A beautiful win. It just was there at the right time, did exactly what he needed to do, played his cards right, and well, he has a win.
Indeed. There may not be orange flares at Pocono, but there was orange flare out on the track. And with that, we go to commercial break, and after that, driver interviews. Stay tuned. Well, welcome back to Sunday Drivers' Cup here at Pocono. We sure saw an exciting 15-lap race here. The MX-5s, they never disappoint, and they didn't disappoint here today either. Stefan Alderding taking the victory here, just 1.1 seconds ahead of the hard-charging Tom Daly. Brett Ride rounding out the podium, joining there with his teammate and Stefan Orell in fourth, Kalle Kivistö in fifth, losing out those few precious points to Tom Daly in the championship. Mackenzie Mann down in sixth, Jordanin Zvetanov in seventh place, Willem van Rassel in eighth, Sander Ware in ninth, and Alvaro Rodriguez rounding out your top 10.
Finishing 11th, you'll find Cars 69, David Mitchell, 25 seconds back in the race winner. Jason Guerrara finishes 12th. Patrick Alders 13th, Peter Reed 14th, and the final two cars in the lead lap, Carl Rantanen, Victor Oliveira does maintain the lead lap status. Will finish just over 1 minute behind our race leader, and you'll find two more cars at the back end, cars 85 and 86 respectively. One was 1 lap down, one was 15 laps down. Looks like doesn't make it through lap 1.
Well, it's better to be Kalle Rantanen than Kalle Vuoktunen if you are a racing driver, but here we have our first driver interview of the day with the race winner, Stefan Alderding. Stefan, it was an orange day down at Zandvoort today, and it was an orange day down at Pocono. How happy are you with this win?
Hello?
Hello, yes.
Hello?
Yes, hello, we can hear you.
Okay, hello. Yeah, I can hear you too.
How happy are you with this win?
Oh, it was it was a great race. I had a lot of fighting going on. I was kind of punted off the track twice. I had like 3 penalties. So yeah, but I had the pace. So this was great. I don't know how much fun it was to watch, but doing the race, it was fun from beginning to the end.
Trust me, we did enjoy watching that one as much as you probably enjoyed driving in that one. What was your reaction after such a difficult and probably frustrating race to see that contact on the first corner of the last lap between Svetanov and Daly heading into turn number 1 and realizing that you're home free?
Well, it's Tom Daly. You're never home free, so try to stay relaxed and drive your line and just bring it home. But as I say, with Tom, you never know. He's always there.
Yeah, he is a mighty fast driver indeed. So you always have to be kind of careful, and you can be never sure of your victory. Your season so far, you are in position number 3 of the championship, potentially overtaking Kalle, the defending champion, with a victory here today at Zandvoort. How is the rest of your season looking? Do you still have championship aspirations?
Well, maybe I pass Kalle, but that will be difficult too because he will come back. He's a very solid driver, stable. So yeah, he will come back. Same as Jordan. I expect him to be having a strong end also. So it's going to be an interesting race till the end.
Well, it certainly will, and we will enjoy all of it here at Global SimRacing Channel. Stefan Alderding, congratulations for the victory, and if you have any final words, then feel free to do so.
Yeah, once again, of course, thanks to Sunday Drivers Cup and Sander, which is great work as always. It's highly appreciated by everybody of the group, I can say, I think. Yeah, we're looking forward to the next season with a lot of changes.
It will be exciting times. Thank you for the interview, Stefan, and congratulations for the win.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. And there we had Stefan Alderding, the winner of this race. And next up, it's going to be Andrew interviewing our third place driver, Brett Wright.
Hello, guys.
And Brett, it was a pretty interesting race for you. It was not always looking like you were going to finish in the top 3 today, but you do exactly that. Walk us through your race. What exactly happened out there from the perspective of car 70?
Well, I was behind Xander to begin with, and I thought, right, keep it nice and steady. I don't want to mess up, and I clipped him. and I'm not sure whose fault that was because he had just gone off track and come back on. And after that, I thought, right, take it steady, and openings just kept showing up.
And of course, the race went on 15 laps in these Miatas here. You know, it tends to run on just a little while. So you had plenty of time to think about what you were going to do when you got to those guys up front. How did you put that into plan, considering it looked like there were 5 cars ahead of you and suddenly the seas just kind of parted and you were running third?
Well, I was just hoping against hope that they would start fighting and let me catch up a bit because I didn't have the pace if they didn't.
And obviously, you got a chance there to work it out with your teammate Tom Daly, but things went completely wrong there at the end of turn 1. What happened from your point of view, and what were you trying to do that last lap to try and get Tom up there? And eventually, what happened to you to prevent you guys from getting up there?
Well, when I seen them make contact, the first thing I thought was brake, 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 and then the gap opened up behind him. I don't know what happened between them. I think they were both just trying to stay on that line and get around the corner as best they could. And then afterwards, he was against the wall, and I was like, no, I've got him beside me, pull out, pull out. So he pulled off of the wall and gave me the drag. So thank you for that, Tom.
Well, there you go. And Brett, thanks so much for your time. Congratulations on a third place effort. You guys were pretty good there at the end. And hey, look to see more of you the rest of the season. Best of luck to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, that's the interviews concluded then. Thank you, Andrew, for that. We heard from Brett and we heard from Stefan Alderding. Sadly, not hearing from Tom Daly today, but maybe that's all right. I hope we'll see him on track next time, which is going to be at the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, September 18th. If you like today, you're going to love these cars there in California. But I think it's time now to end this broadcast. Thanks to the team today, Andrew Cardinale in commentary, Joe Peak behind the cameras, and Dougie Beard making these cameras. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and of course, the merchandise store. You can always support the Red brand. Links are in the description, below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. It's the red button bottom right, so you don't miss a moment here on the GSRC. And hey, ring that bell. Next race, as I said, Laguna Seca, Sunday, September 18th, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here on your screen. You have many great races, such as this one, such as the Porsche Owners Club coming up on Tuesday, RTA Virtual Motorsport coming up on Tuesday. Whole lot of racing to enjoy. I wonder if you have enough hours in your day. But I was Ossian Puhakka. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.